Hi, my name's Nick, I'm a maths tutor, and today we're going to go through the 2020 paper from Edexcel GCSE paper 3H. Let's give it a go. Okay, simplify n cubed times n to the power of 5. So here we just add our powers together and we end up with n to the power of 8. Simplify c cubed times d to the power of 4 over c squared times d. So c cubed over c squared is the same as c, and d to the power of 4 over d is the same as d cubed, so we end up with cd cubed as our answer. Solve 5x over 2 is greater than 7. We multiply both sides by 2 to get rid of that fraction, so we get 5x is greater than 14, and then we divide both sides by 5, so we end up with x is greater than 14 fifths. Andy cycles a distance of 30 kilometers at an average speed of 24 kilometers an hour. He then runs a distance of 12 kilometers at an average speed of 8 kilometers an hour. Work out the total time Andy takes, give your answer in hours and minutes. So speed equals distance over time, and therefore time is equal to distance over speed. For our cycle time, we do 30 kilometers divided by 24 kilometers an hour, and this gives us 1.25 hours. For our run time, we do 12 kilometers divided by 8 kilometers an hour, and we end up with 1.5 hours as our run time. Then we do 1.25 plus 1.5, which is 2.75 hours as our total time, and then we need to convert that 0.75 hours into minutes, which is 45 minutes. So our answer is 2 hours and 45 minutes. A number m is rounded to one decimal place. The result is 9.4. Complete the error interval for m. So since we're dealing with a rounded number, we do 9.35 as our lower bound and 9.45 as our upper bound. Maisie knows that she needs 3 kilograms of grass seed to make a rectangular lawn 5 meters by 9 meters. Grass seed is sold in 2 kilogram boxes. Maisie wants to make a rectangular lawn that's 10 meters by 14 meters. She has 5 boxes of grass seed. Has Maisie got enough grass seed to make a lawn 10 meters by 14 meters? You must show all your working. So we know that 3 kilograms of grass seed makes a lawn that's 5 meters by 9 meters. This is the same as 45 meters squared. So we know that 3 kilograms makes a lawn that's 45 meters squared. 5 boxes of 2 kilograms of grass seed gives us 10 kilograms. And we know that 10 times 14 is 140 meters squared, which is the total surface area of the lawn Maisie wants to make. 1 kilogram will give us 15 meters squared of grass, and that is because we divide 3 kilograms by 3 and 45 meters squared by 3. We then multiply this by 10, so we get 10 kilograms gives us 150 meters squared of lawn. So therefore, yes, Maisie does have enough grass seed, as 10 kilograms covers 150 meters squared, and she only needs to cover 140 meters squared for her lawn. Maisie opens the 5 boxes of grass seed, and she finds that 4 of the boxes contain 2 kilograms of grass seed, and the other box contains 1 kilogram of grass seed. Does this affect whether Maisie has enough grass seed to make her lawn? Give a reason for your answer. So if we have 4 grass seed boxes of 2 kilograms, that is 8 kilograms, and we have 1 extra kilogram in that final box, so we have 9 kilograms in total. This covers 135 meters squared of grass. The answer therefore is yes, she has a total of 9 kilograms of grass seed, which only covers 135 meters squared, meaning she needs more grass seed for her lawn, as she wants to make 140 meters squared of grass. Amanda has 2 fair 3-sided spinners, spinner A and spinner B. Amanda spins each spinner once. Complete the probability tree diagram. So because we're told they're fair spinners, therefore the probability of landing on 2 is 1/3, and the probability it doesn't land on 2 is 2/3. So we fill in the rest of the tree and we end up with what you see there. Work out the probability that the spinner A lands on 2 and spinner B does not land on 2. So I've highlighted it here. The probability of spinner A landing on 2 is 1/3, and the probability that spinner B does not land on 2 is 2/3. So we just do 1/3 times 2/3, which is 2/9 as our final answer. Use these graphs to solve the simultaneous equations 5x minus 9y equals minus 46 and y equals minus 2x. So since we're given these in the diagram, we just look at the intersection of these two lines and we end up with minus 2, 4 as our coordinates. Therefore x is minus 2 and y is 4. Use this graph to find estimates for solutions of the quadratic equation x squared minus 4x plus 2 equals 0. So in this case we can see that y is equal to 0 and therefore the roots are going to lie along the x-axis. When we look at these points where the x-axis intersects with this curve, we get 0.60 and 3.40, so therefore x is equal to 0.6 or x is equal to 3.4. There is a total of 45 boys and girls in a choir. The mean age of the 18 boys is 16.2 years. The mean age of the 27 girls is 16.7 years. Calculate the mean age of all 45 boys and girls. So we have 18 boys, so we do b divided by 18, which is equal to 16.2, where b is the sum of the ages of all the boys. So therefore b is equal to 16.2 times 18, which is 291.6. Then we have g over 27 is equal to 16.7, where g is the sum of all the ages of the girls. G is equal to 16.7 times 27 when we rearrange our equation, and that gives us 450.9. We then add the ages of the boys and the girls, which is then going to be 291.6 plus 450.9, and divide it by 45, which is the number of boys and girls. This leaves us with 16.5 as our mean for all of the choir. There are some counters in a bag. The counters are blue or green or red or yellow. The table shows the probabilities that a counter taken at random from the bag will be blue or will be green. The probability that counter taken at random from the bag will be red is 5 times the probability that the counter will be yellow. There are 300 counters in the bag. Work out the number of yellow counters in the bag. So we know that the probability of it being red is 5 times the probability of it being yellow, because we're told that in the question. The probability of it being blue, green, red or yellow is going to be 1, so we can look at this as our equation. When we swap the probability of it being blue and green, we have 0.32 and 0.20, and we can write the probability of it being red as 5 times the probability of it being yellow, which means that we have our equation. This simplifies to 0.52 plus 6 times the probability of it being yellow, which is equal to 1. Then we do 6 times the probability of it being yellow is equal to 1 minus 0.52, which is 0.48. We then divide both sides by 6, and we end up with 0.08 as our probability of it being yellow. We then multiply this by 5 to get the probability of it being red, which is 0.4. So now we have a ratio of blue to green to red to yellow, which is 0.32 to 0.2 to 0.4 to 0.08. We need to multiply this by 300 because there's 300 counters in the bag. So we end up with 24 as the number of yellow counters in the bag. The diagram shows a prism. The cross-section of the prism has exactly one line of symmetry. Work out the volume of the prism and give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. We can use SOHCAHTOA as our way of remembering sine, cos and tan, and in this case we're going to use tan because you can see we've drawn out the triangle on the top and we need to find the opposite side to get the height of the triangle. Tan 40 is equal to therefore the opposite over 5 centimeters, which implies that the opposite is equal to 5 times tan 40 degrees, which is 4.20 centimeters to 3 significant figures. To get the area of the triangle, we're going to do half base times height, which is a half times 10, which is the base, times 4.2, which is the height, which is equal to 21.0 centimeters squared to 3 significant figures. We then find the area of the square at the bottom, which is 12 times 10, and that's 120 centimeters squared. Then we add the surface area of the square and the triangle to get 141.0 centimeters squared. To find the volume of the prism, we then need to times by the length, which is 20. So we do 141 times 20, which is 2,820 centimeters cubed to 3 significant figures. A person's heart beats approximately 10 to the power of 5 times each day. A person lives for approximately 81 years. Work out an estimate for the number of times a person's heart beats in their lifetime. Give your answer in standard form, correct to 2 significant figures. So 10 to the power of 5 times 365 is going to be the number of beats per year, which is 3.65 times 10 to the power of 7. 3.65 times 10 to the power of 7, the beats per year, times the number of years a person lives, which is 81, is 2.9565 times 10 to the power of 9. This rounds to 3.0 times 10 to the power of 9 to 2 significant figures. 2 times 10 to the power of 12 red blood cells have a total mass of 90 grams. Work out the average mass of one red blood cell, give your answer in standard form. So here we just do 90 divided by 2 times 10 to the power of 12, and this is 4.5 times 10 to the power of minus 11 grams, and that is our answer in standard form. The diagram shows a triangle P on a grid. Triangle P is rotated 180 degrees about 0, 0 to give triangle Q. Triangle Q is translated by 5 minus 2 to give triangle R. Describe fully the single transformation that maps triangle P onto triangle R. We need to rotate 180 degrees about the origin to give us Q. So we draw that out and we end up with the triangle you see here. We then need to translate it 5 to the right and 2 down because we're given that vector in the question to get R. So we can see that we've rotated 180 degrees, but we need to find the centre of rotation. We draw lines between each of the points of the triangle and find the point that is invariant. In this case, it is 2.5 minus 1, so therefore we have 180 degree rotation about the point 2.5 minus 1. Under the transformation that maps triangle P onto triangle R, the point A is invariant. Write down the coordinates of point A. As we said already, that's going to be 2.5 minus 1. X over x plus 2 plus 2x over x minus 4 as a single fraction in its simplest form. So the first thing we do is we make the denominators the same. So we have x times x minus 4 over x plus 2 times x minus 4 plus 2x times x plus 2 over x plus 2 times x minus 4. So when we expand all of this and add it all together, we get x squared minus 4x plus 2x squared plus 4x all over x plus 2 times x minus 4. This simplifies to x squared plus 2x squared over x plus 2 times x minus 4, which gives us 3x squared over x plus 2 times x minus 4 as our final answer. Expand and simplify x minus 3 times 2x plus 3 times 4x plus 5. So the first thing we do is expand x minus 3 and 2x plus 3. This gives us 2x squared minus 6x plus 3x minus 9, which is the same as 2x squared minus 3x minus 9. We then multiply this by 4x plus 5, and we get 8x cubed minus 12x squared plus 10x squared minus 15x minus 36x minus 45. This simplifies to 8x cubed minus 2x squared minus 51x minus 45 as our final answer. Show by shading the region that satisfies all these inequalities, label the region R. So we have x is greater than or equal to 0, x is less than or equal to 2, y is less than or equal to x plus 3, and 2x plus 3y is greater than or equal to 6. So I'm going to rearrange this so I have an equation for y equals mx plus c. So we subtract 2x from both sides and we get 3y is greater than or equal to 6 minus 2x, and then we can divide everything by 3 to get y is greater than or equal to minus 2/3 x plus 2. So drawing onto the grid, we can have x is less than or equal to 2 as what you can see here, where x is equal to 2, we have anything to the left of that. Then when we have x is greater than or equal to 0, this is going to be the y-axis because that's anywhere where x is equal to 0. So we look to the right of that to see anything that's greater than or equal to it. Next up, we can look at y is less than or equal to x plus 3. So we draw the line y equals x plus 3. Then we draw an arrow down from there because we're thinking about anything that's less than that, okay? Then we have y is equal to minus 2/3 plus 2. But remember, we're looking at greater than or equal to it. So we're going to go up from there. And then we can see we have our region right there in that trapezium. So we shade this region and label it R, and that is our answer. The diagram below shows the region S that satisfies the inequalities. Jeffrey says that the point with coordinates 2, 4 does not satisfy all the inequalities because it does not lie in the shaded region. Is Jeffrey correct? You must give a reason for your answer. So we've drawn it out on the graph and we can see it lies on the line x plus y is less than or equal to 6. So the answer is no, Jeffrey is incorrect, as 2, 4 lies on the line y equals minus x plus 6, which satisfies x plus y is greater than or equal to 6 and the other two inequalities. Points B, D, E and F lie on a circle. ABC is the tangent to the circle at B. Find the size of angle ABD. You must give a reason for each stage of your working. So the first thing I did is label ABD as the angle theta. 180 minus 100 is equal to 80 degrees, which is DBF, because the opposite angles in a cyclic quadrilateral add up to 180 degrees. CBF equals 40 degrees using the alternate segment theorem. Then 180 minus 40 minus 80 is equal to 60 degrees, which is ABD, because angles on a straight line sum to 180, and that is our answer. Prove algebraically that 0.73 with 3 recurring can be written as 11 over 15. So 0.73 recurring is equal to x. 10x is going to be 7.3 with 3 recurring. 10x minus x is equal to 9x, which is the same as 7.3 recurring minus 0.73 recurring. This is equal to 6.6, as you can see here, using the subtraction, because all of those three terms at the end are going to cancel each other out, so we're just left with 7.3 minus 0.7, which is 6.6. Therefore, 9x equals 6.6, and that means x is equal to 6.6 over 9. We multiply this by 10, and we get 66 over 90, and then we can simplify this, so we divide by 3, and we get 22 over 30, and then we divide by 2, and we get 11 over 15 as our answer, which is what we needed in the question. Here is a speed time graph for a car. Work out an estimate for the distance the car travelled in the first 30 seconds. So we can use the area underneath the graph to find the distance, and we can use a triangle for it. So we do a half times base times height. The base is 30, the height is 8.8, and therefore we get 132 metres as our answer. Is your answer to part A an underestimate or an overestimate of the actual distance the car travelled in the first 30 seconds? Give a reason for your answer. So it's an underestimate, as the area of the triangle is less than the area under the curve in the first 30 seconds. Julian used the graph to answer this question. Work out an estimate for the acceleration of the car at time 60 seconds. Here's Julian's working. Julian's method does not give a good estimate of the acceleration at time 60 seconds. Explain why. So Julian's found the average acceleration of the car in the first 60 seconds instead of the acceleration at 60 seconds. So he's basically found the gradient from the point 0, 0 to the point 60, 13, which is why it's an average and not the exact value at that point. The way we do this is we find a tangent. So instead of what I've said, you could also say something like Julian needed to find a tangent at this point to get a mark. The histogram gives information about the distances 80 competitors jumped in a long jump competition. Calculate an estimate for the mean distance. So what we need to do is find the collective distance jumped by all of the long jumpers and then divide this by the number of competitors. So first and foremost, we do 7.2 minus 6.4 times 10, which is equal to 8 as our first area. Then we do 7.6 minus 7.2 times 50 to get 20, 8.0 minus 7.6 times 100 to get 40, and 8.2 minus 8.0 times 60 to get 12. Then we add all of these together and we end up with 611.6 over 80 to find our average. This then is 7.645, which is our final answer. The diagram shows a cube. AH is 11.3 centimetres, correct to the nearest millimetre. Calculate the lower bound for the length of an edge of the cube. You must show all your working. So the first thing I did is I drew out AH on the cube. So we have FH is x squared plus x squared all square rooted, which is the same as the square root of 2 times x, okay? Because if x is the side length of the cube, we can see that to find FH, we can use Pythagoras' theorem. AF is equal to x, and AH is therefore the square root of FH squared plus AF squared. When we substitute FH, we know that's root 2x, so we have that squared, which gives us 2x squared plus x squared under the square root. This is then 3x squared, all square rooted, and that gives us the root 3x as our value for AH. We're told AH is 11.3 centimetres, which is the same as 113 millimetres. The lower bound of AH is going to be 112.5 millimetres, so therefore the lower bound of B is going to be 112.5 over root 3, using the equation that we found earlier. This is 64.95 millimetres, which is the same as 6.495 centimetres, and to three significant figures that is 6.50 centimetres. ABCDEF is a regular hexagon with sides of length x. This hexagon is enlarged centre F by scale factor P to give hexagon FGHIJK. Show that the area of the shaded region in the diagram is given by 3 root 3 over 2 times p squared minus 1 times x squared. So the first thing I did is I proved that equilateral triangles lie within a hexagon. You don't actually get a mark for this, so I'm not going to explain it in detail, but we get FME, where all of the angles are 60 degrees and each has side length of x, okay? So we split this in half, and we know that x times sine 60 is going to be root 3 over 2x, because sine 60 is root 3 over 2. So to find the area of FME, we do a half base times height. The base is x, so we do a half x, and the height is root 3 over 2x, so it's a half x times root 3 over 2x, which is root 3 over 4x squared. The area of the hexagon that's shaded in white, ABCDEF, is going to be 6 times the area of one of these equilateral triangles that makes up the hexagon. So we have 6 times root 3 over 4 times x squared, which is the same as 3 root 3 over 2 x squared. The area of the larger hexagon, which is FGHIJK, is going to be p squared times 3 root 3 over 2 x squared, because p is the length scale factor, which means that the area scale factor is going to be p squared. The shaded area is the difference between the larger hexagon and the smaller hexagon, so we do p squared times 3 root 3 over 2 x squared minus 3 root 3 over 2 x squared, which leaves us with 3 root 3 over 2 p squared minus 1 x squared, which is what we needed from the question, so that's our final answer. Here is a list of 5 numbers. Find the lowest common multiple of these 5 numbers. So here we just pick 98 to the power of 91 because it's the largest of all 5. This is because you can just multiply by 98 to the power of something to end up with 98 to the power of 91 for all of the other numbers, so therefore we just have 98 to the power of 91 as our answer. 5c plus d is equal to c plus 4d. Find the ratio of c to d. So 5c is equal to c plus 3d because we subtract both sides by d. Then we get 4c is equal to 3d because we subtract c from both sides. That means that c is equal to 3/4 of d. So therefore, to get from d to c, we multiply by 3/4, which means c is smaller than d, okay? That means that the ratio of c to d is 3/4 to 1, and if we multiply that by 4, we end up with 3 to 4 as our ratio for c to d. 6x squared is equal to 7xy plus 20y squared, where x is greater than 0 and y is greater than 0. Find the ratio of x to y. So 0 equals minus 6x squared plus 7xy plus 20y squared, and we subtract minus 6x squared from both sides. So we actually have a quadratic here in terms of x. So a is going to be minus 6, b is 7y, and c is 20y squared, and we can just use the quadratic equation as we would normally, just using those a, b, c values. So we end up with minus 7y plus or minus the square root of 7y squared minus 4 times minus 6 times 20y squared, all divided by 2 times minus 6. This simplifies down to minus 7y plus or minus the square root of 49y squared plus 480y squared over minus 12. And then taking it a step further, we get minus 7y plus or minus the square root of 529y squared over minus 12, which simplifies to minus 7y plus or minus 23y over minus 12. When we follow this through, we end up with x is equal to 5 halves y or minus 4/3 y. And as x is greater than 0 and y is greater than 0, because we're told that in the question, x is equal to 5 halves of y. So therefore, to get from y to x, we need to multiply by 5 halves, which means x is bigger than y. So the ratio of x to y is 5 halves to 1. We then multiply this ratio by 2 and we end up with 5 to 2, and that is our answer because that is a ratio of x to y. That is the Edexcel GCSE Maths Paper 3H paper from 2020 all done. If you would like to see any more videos from any other past papers, just hit the links here. And if you need an extra bit of help with your maths, make sure to hit the link in the description, as I'll be offering online group maths tutoring classes from the 24th of June. Make sure to hit those video links, and I will see you in the next video.